Discover the incredible moment. Poor girl, 12, saves millionaire's life in heart attack shock. Maya's world had always spun between sweeping floors and folding laundry, the rhythm of her lower middle-class life drumming a beat she knew all too well. The streets of her suburban neighborhood were lined with clean, manicured lawns and two-car garages that reminded her of the wealth just beyond her reach. Her mom struggled, taking cleaning jobs at homes where people spoke muffled, soft words, as if not wanting to disturb the air of privilege around them. But today felt different. There was something in the crisp air, something alive. As she dashed down the tree-lined street, a shimmering sunlight splashed on her tattered sneakers. She was rushing to drop off applesauce to Mrs. Henderson, a sweet old lady from church who had recently fallen ill. Yet, as she passed the grand Thompson mansion, hidden behind high hedges, she noticed a cluster of adults whispering like frightened birds caught in a storm. Her eyes darted toward the center of commotion, her heart thumping there. Mr. Thompson, the esteemed millionaire, lay sprawled on the pristine lawn. Time slowed. Maya felt her stomach twist. He looked white as a ghost, a once towering figure reduced to a mere shadow. Panic surged through her veins, ripping through any hesitation. Despite the skeptical glances of neighbors who viewed her as just a poor girl in ragged clothes, something in her screamed to act. She had learned CPR in a brief class last summer, and memories flooded her mind like the rushing waves of a stormy sea. "Move away!" she yelled, pushing past bystanders who seemed frozen in disbelief. She dropped to her knees beside him, heart racing. She pressed her hands on his chest, the warmth of his life fading under her palms. 1, 2, 3 she counted, compressing with everything she had. Tears pooled in her eyes, blurring her vision. She could feel the weight of her family's struggle, life and death intertwined with her OWN.AS. Mr. Thompson gasped for air. The crowd finally snapped into action, murmurs falling silent as they witnessed her brave confrontation. She pressed harder, the girl who lived in a cramped apartment, now pressing into the very heart of privilege. It felt surreal. Would they see her as just a girl? Or would they see something more? Just then, Mr. Thompson jolted awake, confusion washing over his face. An ambulance roared through the street, but in that moment of clarity, Maya felt painfully invisible. The relief that flooded her chest was quickly suffocated under the piercing gaze of Mr. Thompson's family, their expressions carved from ice. They saw her as a reminder of their vulnerability, an inconvenient distraction. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined not to let this slip away, Maya rallied her friends and neighbors, sharing how she saved his life. They stood up, sharing their stories of struggle, their voices becoming a choir of resilience. As Maya spoke, their hearts began to awaken, the weight of privilege crumbling against the unyielding spirit of her community. Then came a twist. Mr. Thompson's daughter, with her designer handbag and polished nails, approached her, guilt softening her features. Could it be that her family was beginning to understand? Or would they cling to their privilege, leaving Maya standing, a hero in a world that wanted her silence? The air crackled with tension, as Maya awaited the answer that could redefine their community forever. Maya's heart pounded in her chest like a drum, every thud echoing her hopes and fears. She stood there, a small figure amidst a sea of wealth and polished appearances, waiting for the words that could either lift her community higher or cast her back into the shadow of silence. Mr. Thompson's daughter, Claire, had moved closer, the glimmer of her designer earrings catching the sunlight, but it was her eyes that held Maya's attention, full of an unsettling mix of fear and realization. "Thank you," Claire finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. Maya blinked in surprise. "You're welcome," she replied, though she could hardly believe she deserved such gratitude, but Claire's brow furrowed deeper, her usually confident demeanor cracking like ice under pressure. "What happened? It was so fast." I didn't even know," she stammered, glancing anxiously at her father, who was now being attended to by paramedics. The gathering crowd listened intently, and the once muffled whispers transformed into a chorus of sympathy. They started to see her, not just as the cleaning lady's daughter but as a brave girl who had perched herself on the precipice between life and death. Claire stepped forward, glancing at the onlookers. Maybe we need to talk," she suggested, her voice stronger now. "Maybe there's something we can do together." A ripple of murmurs washed over the crowd, a growing sense of connection forming where there had been only division before. Maya felt a surge of hope. Could this conversation actually lead to something? She took a deep breath, steadying her racing heart. "What do you mean?" she asked, trying to mask the mix of excitement and apprehension brewing inside her. "How about we start a program, like teaching first aid in the community?" Claire suggested, her green eyes brightening with each word. "I've seen what my dad's businesses do for the wealthy, but what about the rest of us?" There it was, the collective gasp around them. For years, when they passed each other on the streets, they barely acknowledged each other's existence. Seeing and being seen, it seemed, would be a challenge worth taking on. "Together, we could raise funds, offer classes," Claire continued, her voice gaining momentum. "Help our neighborhoods protect themselves. It might even help people save lives, like you just did." Maya felt the weight of the moment. It was so much bigger than her. This was a chance to break barriers, to build something meaningful. But a nagging thought held her back. Would they ever truly see her as an equal? There was so much history behind their differences. "Can you really make that happen?" she asked, open curiosity mingling with skepticism. The faces around them held a mix of hope and doubt, unsure if this idea would ever materialize. Claire nodded firmly. "We can start right now with my father awake, he will know how important this is." As the ambulance doors closed, a hush fell over the crowd. Every eye was on them, filled with questions that begged for answers. Maya felt herself standing on the edge of a new chapter, the pages fluttering in the wind, waiting to be written. Just as she began to feel a sense of purpose rising within her, her mom appeared, breathless and wide-eyed. "Maya, what is going on?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. Maya looked at her mother and back at Claire, feeling the weight of a destiny unfolding before her. Would this be the catalyst for change she had wished for? Would this be the beginning of healing, not just for families divided by wealth, but for the community she loved? And in the silence that wrapped around them, a singular question hung in the air: can a poor girl truly bridge the divide and bring about the change they so desperately needed? Maya's heart raced as her mother's gaze shifted from her to the ambulance, a veil of confusion shadowing her features. The weight of the moment felt heavier with each second. I saw him collapse," Maya stammered, her voice trembling. "Claire and I were just talking. We think we can start a program." Her mother echoed, disbelief lacing her words. But as she scanned the crowd and saw the faces of neighbors, each wearing a mix of worry and something else, curiosity, perhaps, Maya felt her mother's tension easing, if only slightly. "Yes, Mom!" Maya exclaimed, her enthusiasm bubbling over, despite the fear still shadowing her thoughts. "We can help people, teach them how to save lives. Like Mr. Thompson." The crowd began to murmur, their interest piqued. There was a stirring of possibility, like the first warm glow of dawn creeping across a cold night. Claire caught Maya's eye once again, an unspoken alliance forming between them. "We could really do this," she urged, her voice steadying. "If we come together, we can make a difference." Maya nodded, buoyed by Claire's determination. It felt surreal, the idea of breaking the walls that had long kept their worlds apart. Yet shadows lingered in her mind, doubts nagging at her with every heartbeat. Could a partnership between them, one rich, one not, really mean anything? The ambulance pulsed with the low hum of activity, and as Mr. Thompson emerged, still visible but fading swiftly in the chaos, a crackle of fear coursed through the crowd. Maya's stomach tightened. Was this a moment of hope, or another sign that the gulf between their lives was too vast? "Simplicity," Maya whispered, breaking the silence. She turned to Claire, her eyes shining with newfound clarity. What we need is a simple message. First aid isn't about wealth. It's about humanity. Claire's face lit up. Yes. Something everyone can relate to. We can craft this message together. Make it a celebration of community. As they discussed potential names and how to initiate the program, more people drifted closer, hearing the passion in their voices. Each conversation built upon the last, pulling the crowd into a warm embrace of shared purpose. Their worries washed away, replaced by the embers of hope sparking in hearts that had grown weary. Maya's mother stepped forward, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. This is a big step, Maya. But it's not just about ideas. You need to know that you have the strength to lead if you believe in yourself. A soft blush crept up Maya's cheeks. Was she truly a leader? The weight of her mother's words struck deep, planting a fragile seed of confidence amidst the skepticism. Suddenly, the mood shifted as voices from the back of the crowd erupted. What about the costs? Someone shouted. Who will fund this? It just sounds like talk. Doubt poured forth, threatening to snuff out the glimmer of unity they created. Maya's stomach churned. How could they build something when disillusionment loomed large? Maybe Claire took a deep breath, accepting the challenge. We start with something small. Just a few classes. We could have a bake sale. Raise some money for the first aid kits. Maya blinked, a flicker of excitement igniting inside her. Yes. And we can ask local businesses to sponsor us to contribute resources. As they laid out their ideas, the crowd shifted. Some began nodding, others raised their eyebrows in interest. A moment of clarity passed between Maya and Claire, a silent agreement that they would not let the fear of failure stop them. Standing there, side by side, they were no longer defined by their backgrounds. They were co-creators of a new vision. But would it be enough to convince the others to believe alongside them? With each passing second, Maya's heart steadied as adrenaline surged. She could see the glimmer of hope in Claire's expression, and she couldn't help but smile. Maybe this was the moment they'd all been waiting for. As the sun floated lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over the crowd, a voice called out from behind. But how do we even begin to trust each other? Maya turned slowly, her heart thumping as she met the challenge head-on. Could they forge connections strong enough to follow through? Would their fragile unity hold up against doubt and the weight of history? The next chapter awaited, full of uncertainty, but on the brink of something extraordinary. Maya took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the crowd. People of all ages stood before her, their expressions a mix of skepticism and hope. Did they really believe in what she and Claire were trying to build? Was there enough trust to break the divide that had kept them apart for so long? Trust, Claire said, clasping her hands. We can show them. We have to show them that this isn't just a program. It's about our community, our future. Maya nodded, feeling a warmth spread through her. The excitement in Claire's voice was contagious. What if we hold a meeting? Invite everyone so we can discuss these ideas together. We need to talk, to share our experiences. Yes. Claire beamed, her energy lighting up the atmosphere. A community meeting. We can share stories about first aid, even demonstrations. Make it interactive. Their discussion stirred interest in the crowd. People leaned in closer, murmuring about how they could get involved. Every idea felt like a building block, like a wall of doubt beginning to crumble. But not everyone was convinced. Okay, but we need a plan, another voice spoke up, a man stepping forward. He looked serious, his brow furrowed. What if no one shows up? What if no one is interested? Maya's heart sank. What if they had all built this dream on shaky ground? We'll create something inviting, she said, her voice steady. We can make it fun. We can showcase the importance of first aid with real stories. People will see how it matters. The man crossed his arms, disbelieving. It sounds good, kid, but what do you really know about running a program? Maya felt the familiar sting of doubt creeping in, but she pushed it away. We know that lives are at stake. She stepped forward, feeling the weight of their collective gaze upon her. We can do this. We can teach people how to save lives, just like Mr. Thompson's. We don't need a degree to help others, just a willingness to try. The crowd murmured again, this time with a ripple of agreement. Maya could feel the seed of determination taking root within them, drawing strength from her words. Maybe they didn't have all the answers, but they had each other. Yes. Claire shouted, her enthusiasm infectious. Let us set a date for the meeting. We can promote it through flyers, social media, wherever we can. This community needs to feel involved. The man's face softened slightly, and he nodded slowly. All right, I'm in. That moment sparked a series of conversations. People began brainstorming together, tossing ideas around like popcorn. Who could help distribute flyers, who could lend supplies, and who knew someone in town that could speak at the meeting. Unity was slowly building. Maya felt a swell of emotion as she stepped back slightly, looking at Claire and then the crowd. The initial fears began to fade, replaced by optimism and a shared goal. As they discussed ideas, the sun dipped lower on the horizon, glowing warm and golden. There was something almost magical about the collective energy in that moment, vibrating with possibility. Then someone called out from the back, cutting through the warm atmosphere. What if we don't have the skills to teach? What if someone gets hurt and we can't help them? Maya's heart stopped. It felt like a punch in the gut. They hadn't fully discussed the specifics. Could they guarantee safety? Could they truly educate without fear? We'll learn together, she said, but doubts lingered in her voice. It's okay to be scared. Teaching each other about first aid means we all grow together. Claire squeezed Maya's hand, anchoring her amidst the uncertainty. We're building trust as we build skills. No one starts as an expert. We're all here to learn. But as hope flickered in the air, a feeling of unease burrowed deeper inside Maya. Was their vision strong enough to survive the storm of doubt? The crowd buzzed with renewed energy as they planned ways to reach out and engage others, but even in the surge of excitement, a question loomed large: was the foundation solid enough to withstand criticism and skepticism? Before long, Maya overheard snippets of conversation about past failures, hesitation, and painful experiences tied to their shared history. And she felt the emotions building, the weight of their collective past was pressing down. Will anyone even believe in us? She whispered to Claire, her voice barely heard above the gathering buzz. Claire's response was immediate and firm. They will, if we believe in ourselves first. We'll show them it's possible. Together. Maya took a deep breath, determination flooding through her again. They had to forge ahead, even into the uncertainty. But could they stand strong when the doubts came crashing down? The crowd shifted again, voices rising and hearts pulsing with newfound hope. Yet, as Maya gazed into the faces of her neighbors, she wondered when the moment of truth arrived, would they rally together, or would the cracks in their unity start to show? With the sun setting, casting long shadows across their gathering, the next chapter was unfolding, and Maya realized what lay ahead might be their greatest challenge yet. Maya woke early the next morning, the sun just beginning to spill its light over the rooftops. Her heart raced with excitement but also with anxiety. Today was the day they would announce the community meeting. Today was the beginning of something. Yet, the voice of doubt crept back in. She stood by the window, watching as neighbors walked their dogs or watered their lawns, faces familiar and friendly. But what if they weren't ready for this? What if they simply didn't trust her and Claire enough? She brushed her hands through her hair, gathering the strength she needed. Later that afternoon, Maya and Claire had set up a table in the town square, the heart of their community. Colorful flyers decorated the surface, each one promising a fun and informative gathering. The sun shone brightly, illuminating the excitement and tension swirling around them. As people passed by, Claire waved enthusiastically. "Come learn how to save a life," she called out, her energy radiating. Maya felt her pulse quicken as a few families stopped to take a flyer. An older woman squinted at the paper, tilting her head. "You two are really serious about this?" "Yes," Maya exclaimed, her voice earnest. "We believe it can make a difference. We want to make sure everyone knows what to do in an emergency." The woman's expression softened. "You know, I could use some help last summer. My neighbor had a heart attack. It was terrifying." Maya's heart ached at the memory of all the stories like this one. She nodded, seeing the spark of connection. "That's exactly why we're doing this. Everyone deserves to be prepared. It can happen to anyone." Just then, a young boy maybe 11 or 12 stepped closer, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Do you really think we can help people? What if we mess up?" Maya crouched down to meet his gaze. "You know, every expert was once a beginner. It's okay to be nervous. But if we practice together, we can be ready. And who knows? You might end up being a hero one day." His face lit up, fascination replacing fear. Behind him, others gathered, drawn by the conversation. Suddenly, Maya felt a wave of hope rush through her. This was it, this was why they were here. As the afternoon rolled on, more and more people began to engage. Families chatted. A woman shared her experience with first aid. Another man laughed about a time he stuffed a sock in an injury until help arrived. The stories rolled out, each one building a bridge to the next, yet, just when the atmosphere started to feel electrifying, the man who had doubted them stepped forward again. "I still think this is a waste of time. How can we be sure this will actually help us?" Maya sensed the tension ripple through the crowd. The warmth they had built moments ago felt shaky. She stood up straighter, her heart pounding. "I know it's scary to trust. We can't guarantee that everyone will be saved, but we can guarantee that we will learn together. We can create a safe space to practice. That's how we will build trust in ourselves." A silence hung in the air, and Maya could see the wheels turning in everyone's minds. Would they accept this challenge? Would they believe? "I have my moments of doubt, too," Claire added, her voice soothing yet strong. "But we have to start somewhere. Change begins with conversations like these." Gradually, heads began to nod within the crowd. The man's skepticism softened, if only slightly, and he stepped back, arms uncrossing. "All right, let us see this through then," he said, a hint of begrudging respect in his eyes. Maya felt her heart swell with relief and triumph. Together, they had begun to chip away at the walls, but then, just as hope began to rise, a sharp cry echoed through the square, a shout of panic that cut through the conversations like a knife. Maya's heart dropped as she turned to see a man collapsed on the pavement, surrounded by frantic onlookers. The fear that had buried itself in her thoughts returned full force. Would they know what to do in this moment? As she raced toward the scene with Claire at her side, an urgent thought crashed over her: this was exactly why they needed to come together, to learn, to be ready. Could this be the turning point they had hoped for? Would the community's fears drive them apart, or would it inspire them to act? Maya pushed through the small crowd, her heart pounding in her chest. The worried faces around her were a mix of fear and confusion. The man lay on the ground, his features pale and glistening with sweat. Time felt like it slowed down, each second stretching out into eternity as she knelt by his side, Claire hovering just behind her. "Someone call 911. Maya shouted, her voice strong, cutting through the panicked whispers. She reached out and checked for a pulse, her fingers trembling. She didn't feel anything immediately, but that didn't mean he was gone. "Claire, remember what we learned about CPR? We need to start right away." Claire nodded, her earlier confidence draining away, replaced by the gravity of the situation. Okay. I'll do it with you." There was a slight quiver in her voice, but together, they could do this. As they both took positions, instructions from their training rushed back to Maya. Focus. Push hard and fast. She guided Claire beside her, telling her where to place her hands. You can do this. Just keep watching for the signs, Maya encouraged her. Others in the crowd adjusted too, shifting from their shocked silence into a more active role. A woman stepped forward with a phone pressed to her ear, relaying the urgency of the situation. Don't stop. Just keep going. Shouted the skeptic from earlier, now infused with a newfound urgency. Maya and Claire began compressions, working in sync, their hands moving rhythmically. Count 1, 2, 3, for the world around them faded. It was just the three of them now, the man gasping for breath, and the two girls doing everything they could to help him. A few minutes passed, but it felt like an hour. Just when doubts began to creep in, Maya caught a glimmer of movement in the man's eyelids. Claire, don't stop. I think he is still with us. She felt a rush of hope mixed with adrenaline. Come on, just a little longer, Claire whispered, her voice trembling but unwavering. They were pushing through the fatigue, each compression fueled by the urge to see this man breathe again. Suddenly, a low groan escaped his lips. His eyes fluttered open, confusion mingling with pain. What happened? He croaked, his voice strained and raw. Relief flooded through Maya, nearly bringing her to tears. You're okay. Help is on the way. She said, trying to reassure him. People around the scene released breaths they didn't realize they were holding. The transformation of fear to hope spread like wildfire among the crowd. Maya felt strength surge within her as she realized that they were not just bystanders anymore. They had come together, each person ready to support and learn. With the sirens heaving closer, shadows of doubt drifted away from the crowd. The man's eyes flickered, fixing on Maya and Claire as he managed a faint smile, gratitude shining through the pain. Thank you, he whispered. As paramedics rushed into the square, taking over with professionalism and urgency, Maya turned to see a mix of awe and admiration reflected in the faces surrounding them. They had witnessed something extraordinary. People began to whisper and nod to one another, connections being formed where there had only been skepticism moments before, but just as Maya began to breathe easier, recognizing that they had broken down barriers, her gaze caught something unusual. A figure stood at a distance, watching intently from behind the crowd. The familiar deep-set eyes and steely demeanor sent chills down her spine. It was the man from her past, the one who never believed in her. Would the man finally see her for who she truly was? Would he understand that today, amid uncertainty and fear, she had risen to the occasion? As she contemplated the path that had led them all here, a wave of determination surged within her. Change had started, but it felt like a prelude to something much deeper. What would happen next? Would her journey inspire not just the community but also the very people who once doubted her? Maya's heart raced as she locked eyes with the figure in the distance. The crowd was dispersing, but the man's gaze remained fixed on her, an unyielding stare that seemed to pierce right through her. It was the same look he had given her in high school, when he had dismissed her dreams as childish. That flicker of disbelief ignited a fire within her, and she straightened her back, refusing to let the past define her. Beside her, Claire was jubilant, overwhelmed by the applause and praises from those around them. You were amazing! Claire exclaimed, breathless with excitement. We actually saved him. Maya managed a weak smile but felt a strange disconnect. Something stirred inside her, pushing her to confront the shadows of her past. As the paramedics lifted the man onto the stretcher, she felt the weight of his expression, a mix of relief and curiosity, as if he wanted to know more about the girl who had stepped into the unknown. Are you okay? Claire asked, noticing the change in Maya's demeanor. I need to talk to him, Maya replied, urgency flooding her voice. She turned to follow the stretcher as it was wheeled toward the ambulance, her heart pounding with a mixture of dread and determination. Maya, wait! Claire called after her, but Maya didn't stop. This wasn't just about saving a life anymore, it was about her own. She needed closure, a chance to show him that she was no longer that uncertain girl from before. The ambulance doors swung shut but were left ajar, and the paramedics were inside, focused on their patient. Maya knocked lightly on the side. Excuse me. She called, and the paramedic turned to her, surprised. "Just a moment," he said, then stepped out to see what she wanted. "I have to talk to him," she insisted, urgency spilling from her voice. "Are you family?" he asked, crossing his arms. "Not really, but I was the one who and that S when the man caught her gaze again." He was sitting up, the color returning to his cheeks. The look of surprise on his face transformed into something warmer as he recognized her, and she took a cautious step toward him. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice softer now, though laced with curiosity. "I wanted you to know that you're going to be okay," she said, her voice steadying. "That we all have strength we don't know we have until it's needed." He nodded, a slow understanding dawning. You saved my life," he said, and she could see the weight of each word. His face softened. "Thank you. It's not just me. It was everyone," Maya replied. "People came together when it mattered. You can too." For a moment, it felt like there was more to say, more to share. Something had shifted between them, unspoken but profoundly felt. The shadows of their past were there, but perhaps they could move past them. His eyes darkened, and she could see the flicker of hope igniting. "What is your name?" he asked. "Maya," she said simply, and that was all it took for a spark of recognition to light up his expression. "I remember you from school," he murmured, and for the first time, there was a hint of the respect and acknowledgement she had craved for so long. "Yeah, but I'm not that girl anymore." "Neither are you," she replied, a newfound confidence flowing through her. As the paramedics prepared to drive away, Maya stood there, heart racing, feeling like this moment could change everything. Just as the ambulance pulled away, leaving behind a cloud of sirens and hope, Claire rushed up beside her, completely breathless. "Maya, what did he say? Was that really him?" "It's not over yet," Maya said, her eyes still glued to the retreating vehicle. "This is just the beginning." But as she turned, a flicker of doubt clouded her newfound determination. Had she truly made an impact? Would he remember this moment? The weight of possibility hung in the air, and Maya felt every heartbeat echo in her chest, as if the universe was whispering that the next time she crossed paths with him, everything would change. What truth would she discover about herself and him next? Maya stood frozen for a moment, the sounds of the crowd around her fading into a distant hum. Claire's excited chatter seemed to blur as she replayed the moment with him over and over in her mind. He recognized her. He remembered her. What if this was a door to something greater? "Maya, are you listening?" Claire's voice broke through the fog. "Yeah, Maya struggled to find the words. What if this is a chance to show he's wrong about me? That I am someone. Someone who matters. Of course you matter," Claire said, her eyes wide with disbelief. "But we need to celebrate. You just did something incredible." Maya felt the urge to celebrate too, but the unease in her heart tricked her. "I thought I was free from all of it. From his judgment. But now what?" Claire prodded, tilting her head like she always did when she sensed uncertainty. Maya hesitated. "What if he doesn't remember me in a good way? What if this changes nothing? What if it changes everything?" Claire countered, her voice firm. "We can't know until we try." Before Maya could reply, a chill swept over her. The crowd around them was slowly emptying, but she felt this magnetic pull toward the direction of the ambulance's departure. "Claire, I need to find out more. I can't just let this go." "Okay. I'm with you." Claire grinned, her enthusiasm rekindling something deep within Maya. They hurried away from the crowd, navigating through the scattered onlookers and toward the nearby hospital. The fluorescent lights cast a sterile glow as they entered, and Maya's heart thudded louder with every step. The bustling environment filled her with impatience and buzzed in her head. "What room?" Claire murmured as they stood at a directory, scanning for names. "There." Maya pointed at a name on the list, Dr. Ryan Carter. "That must be him." They rushed toward the indicated floor, heartbeats syncing with the rhythm of their footsteps. Claire kept asking random questions, trying to lighten the atmosphere, but all Maya could focus on was the chance to confront her past. As they arrived on the floor, the echoing laughter and footsteps of nurses seemed to bounce off the stillness outside of room 203. Taking a deep breath, Maya steadied herself. She pushed the door open gently, peeking inside. And there he was, a little paler but awake, surrounded by monitors. A doctor was checking on him. The world around her blurred again. His eyes, still piercing, met hers with a flash of recognition that sent a spark of warmth through her. "Maya?" he said, his voice stronger than she remembered. The doctor glanced up, surprised. "You know her?" Again, the warmth in his gaze, a promise of realization dawning. "Yeah, from school." Maya stepped forward, her pulse quickening. I wanted to see how you were doing." He nodded, the weight of the moment heavy yet somehow light. "I'm grateful, you know. I was thinking about what you said earlier about strength." The doctor smirked and stepped back, leaving them some space. This was it, a chance to reclaim those years of doubt. To show him what that uncertain girl had become. "It's not just about me," she said, her voice rising along with her confidence. "You have strength too. Maybe we can find it together." His expression softened, but before he could respond, a nurse entered, oblivious to the electricity in the air. "Maya," Claire whispered beside her, "this is it." For the first time, she truly felt a connection forming between them, built on newfound understanding. But just as answers were about to unfold, an alarm blared from the monitors beside him. His eyes widened in shock. "What does that mean?" The nurse rushed over, and Maya's heart dropped. "Is he okay?" But as the nurse shouted commands to the staff, panic felt like a thick fog, closing in. In that moment, Maya realized how quickly moments could unravel. What if everything she had hoped for disappeared in a heartbeat? Would she even know how to reach him if she lost her chance? The room was a flurry of movements. Yet in the chaos, something new ignited within her. She would not let fear define her again. As Maya leaned against the wall, adrenaline coursing through her, she could sense that this was more than just a chance encounter. This was a test of resilience. What lay beyond this moment? Would their paths intertwine in ways she could never imagine? Maya watched the chaos unfold before her. The beeping of machines joined the frantic voices of doctors and nurses, all combining into a frantic symphony that drowned out her own thoughts. She felt as if she was stuck in quicksand, wanting to move but unable to make sense of the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. "Just breathe, Maya," Claire whispered softly, sensing her friend's fear. Yet, Maya's body didn't respond. Her heart raced as she struggled against an unseen wave of panic. Suddenly, she felt an overwhelming urge to step forward, to be there for him, no matter the chaos. It was so easy to fall back into uncertainty, but this time, she wouldn't let it grip her. She pushed off the wall and stepped closer to the bed. "Ryan," she called amidst the commotion, finding her voice strong and clear. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." For a brief moment, his eyes connected with hers. Though fear clouded his face, there was a flicker of recognition, of something deeper that tied them together. She fought through her own doubts, feeling a surge of energy rising within her. As the nurse pointed to a larger monitor, the urgency in the room escalated. "We need to stabilize him. Now." But Maya didn't want to fade into the background. She took another step closer, wishing she could reach out and comfort him, to let him know that he wasn't alone. "Focus on me, Ryan. We can do this together," she said firmly. For a second, the eyes of one of the doctors flicked toward her, a momentary acknowledgement that she was contributing to the energy of the room. A small smile, though brief, passed between them. He was fighting too, and maybe, just maybe, they could pull this off together. The alarms continued blaring, but Maya stayed rooted in the moment. She focused on Ryan's breathing, counting silently in her head, drawing strength from his fight. Maya. He croaked, his voice weak but full of familiarity. Yes. Yes, I'm right here. She replied, squeezing the edge of the bed a little tighter. Don't let go. His words lingered in the air like an echo, but the sound of the frantic activity drowned out what might have been their deeper conversation. Claire hovered close by, her hands shaking slightly. Maya, what do you want to say to him? It was the question Maya needed. She realized this all could be washed away in an instant, and if she had something to say, she had to say it now. I want you to know that people can change, especially when they're given the chance. Remember how we were? I'm not that girl anymore, and neither are you. You have the strength to push through this. Her voice gained volume, rising above the chaos, fueled by emotion. The nurse quickly intervened, pressing buttons, commanding the room, but all Maya could focus on was the way Ryan's eyes seemed to reflect the slightest spark of hope. No, she wouldn't back down. Just then, a loud crash echoed as a tray of medical tools fell to the ground. It felt like a jolt, bringing everyone to a halt. In that heartbeat, she saw him grappling with the same fear she felt, the vulnerability hanging in the air between them, but Ryan glanced back at her again. What if I can barely remember? What if his voice cracked, and Maya instinctively reached for him? Maya. You need to move back. A voice commanded. No. I won't do it. She shouted. He won't give up, and neither will I. As if responding to her defiance, Ryan's eyes widened, igniting a fierce determination. She could see it, the connection was there. Maya felt a tingle of something changing. For the first time, it wasn't all about the past. But just as Ryan was about to speak again, the alarm blared louder, resonating through the air, an eerie reminder of how frail everything felt. Maya, you have to trust me. The doctor interrupted, and for a moment, everything hung in balance, including her fate. Would she keep pushing through the fear, even when the world felt so chaotic? What would it mean to not only reconnect with Ryan but also reclaim her own strength? The heart monitor's rhythm quickened, and the beeping seemed to blend with her racing heartbeat, counting down to the unknown. As she held on to that moment of connection, her mind whirled with what could happen next. What if this battle for Ryan's life became a fight for their futures, more interconnected than either had ever envisioned? Maya stood there, enveloped in chaos yet unyielding. Her heart raced not with fear, but with purpose. You say you can barely remember. That doesn't matter. What matters is the fight. We're here, right now, and we're going to push through this. Her voice rang with determination, echoing in the tension-filled room. The doctor's focus shifted to Maya. With a nod, he seemed to acknowledge her bravery, but time was slipping away. Trust us, he urged, his voice steady. What you just said is crucial. He needs you. Keep connecting. Ryan's gaze flickered between Maya and the medical team. There was acknowledgement, a flicker of understanding that transcended words. That spark of shared experience ignited a bond they had both fought hard to build. Ryan, she pressed, locking her eyes on his. Don't let go of that fight. We'll remember together. She could see the fear etched across his face, but beneath it lay a strength waiting to rise again. The alarms blared, almost mocking them. Every beep reminded Maya of the fine line they were balancing on. But every heartbeat resonated louder than the machines, louder than any doubt. Claire was still by her side, breathless but unwavering. You've got this, Maya. Let him feel that energy. With every glimmer in Ryan's eyes, Maya pushed on. You've been known to be resilient. Remember that chemistry project? You saved the day. You can save today. You're a fighter. The beeping became frantic, and the nurse pressed buttons again, urgency surging in the room. But just as despair began to creep in, Maya felt a wave of calm. The sound of their laughter in the past echoed in her mind. Remember how we always wrote our names on the same desk? Two atoms colliding. We made things happen then, and we can do it now. Yeah, Maya, the connections, Ryan whispered, eyes widening slightly as he remembered, straining against the overwhelming fear. Don't leave me. I won T. We'll face this together. As the room exploded into a flurry of activity, Maya's heartbeat was steady. Each word felt like a lifeline tossed in turbulent waters. Ryan's hand trembled slightly, but she could see the fight within him flickering to life. Just then, the doctor interjected once more. We need to stabilize him now. But keep talking, Maya. He is responding. Amid the rush of movements, Maya surged forward, leaning in. Ryan. You're not just a former classmate, you're a part of this community. Your life matters. You've helped shape who we are. We need you. I need you. With each word, Maya saw something shift in Ryan. His expressions morphed from panic to fierce determination as he nodded weakly, trying to hold on. I won T. Give up. Then, just like that, an electric moment filled the air. The alarms began to quiet. The monitors steadied. And then it happened, like a light breaking through the shadows. Ryan smiled. It was a flickering acknowledgement, but it felt monumental. You're right, I can do this. Maya's heart soared, the honesty of the moment wrapping around her like a warm embrace. They were no longer defined by their past. They were two warriors standing on the threshold of something beautiful, a rekindled connection, a shared strength. The room came alive with relief as the team intensified their efforts, encouraged by Ryan's awakening spirit. Moments later, a doctor turned to them. He is stabilizing. We're getting there. Cheers erupted around them as the relief washed over Maya like a warm wave. Ryan now sat up slightly in the bed, breathing more easily. I'll be okay, he whispered, looking at Maya with gratitude. She grinned back, realizing how far they had come. You've just begun. We're going to build something remarkable together. As things settled down, Claire grinned at Maya, her eyes sparkling. You did it. You really did it. Maya felt awe wash over her. No, we did it. We built bridges today, Claire. Tears of joy filled her eyes, and she glanced back at Ryan. He nodded slowly, determination etched on his face. The past and future were blending, they were standing together at the intersection of healing. Days turned into weeks, and the community meeting they had once feared had transformed into a bright reality, filled with laughter, learning, and unity. Families, once separated by wealth, came together to understand the importance of lives saved, building trust alongside each other. The first aid program flourished, fueled by stories shared and bonds formed. Maya's heartbeat was now steady, hope surged in her veins as Ryan joined them often, speaking passionately about resilience and strength learned through struggle. And in each moment of connection, a gentle reminder echoed, they weren't defined by their pasts but by their tenacity to forge a brighter future together. As the sun set each day over their thriving community, Maya understood one vital truth: sometimes, what seems like an impossible divide can be crossed with courage, compassion, and a heartbeat of unwavering hope. This was only the beginning. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss these amazing transformations that inspire. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters. Comment your reactions to this story, share how it made you feel, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans, show your support.